Everyone, in this video I just want to show you how you can use version control, Git, and integrate PyCharm with GitHub using this IDE. However, you don't have to use PyCharm, but you can use any IntelliJ IDE, and you can follow the same procedure and the same methodology. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do is to create a new project with PyCharm if you haven't already created one. So we're going to create a new project here by clicking on this button here. We're going to create a pure Python project. This is the location of our project, and we're going to call it project here. And we're going to use the Python interpreter, which is installed on my computer. However, if you want, you can also create a virtual environment, which is a safe option if you want to make sure that you keep track of all the dependencies and all the version of the dependencies. Okay, but in this case, it's going to be a simpler overview, and we're going to just have a look at Python 3.8. You can be a beginner for this video. Don't worry if you've never heard about Git and GitHub before. This is the right video for you, and I'm going to try to explain everything step by step. So we're going to create a main.py welcome script, and we click here on create. If you were not prompted with that window before, but you were just prompted PyCharm opening this view, so you can click here on file, new project, pure Python, and then create a new project here, same window as we were before. Okay, so this is the Python Python file that PyCharm has already created for us, which as a good practice is called main.py. So this one contains our main file. Let's see what happens if you run this file. We can run this file by clicking here on the green triangle, but at the same time you can press Shift F10 and we're going to run it here. It's going to print hi PyCharm. I don't want that to say hi PyCharm. I want to say that hi Federico, hi my name. So Shift F10 and now it's printing my name. So great, we have a Python project, a Python code that is actually working. Now, what I just want to show you is how you can use version control directly inside PyCharm. How can you do that? You just have to go here at the top, VCS, local history, okay, maybe the first, local history, show history, and it's actually going to show us all the changes that we have made. You remember that we started with this file, so we started with this PyCharm, now we change it to Federico. Let's go and change something else. We're going to say print how are you. Again, Shift F10, we can see the changes. How are you? VCS, local history, show history is telling us that now we have added this function here. How are you? Okay, so here we changed from PyCharm to Federico, and now this file also contains print how are you, because this is actually just showing us only the last file, the last version, while here it shows us step by step. So here we changed from PyCharm to Federico, and here we changed from, we have actually added this function also, how are you? Okay, so this is okay. I mean, if you're only working locally on your computer, you don't really need to have Git. But if you want to start sharing your code with some other collaborators and you want to start leveraging GitHub so you can share the code and safely store it on GitHub on their servers, so even if your computer crashes, you don't have any issues, a good practice is to initiate a Git repository on your computer. How can you do that? So you just have to go here, VCS, import into version control, create a Git repository. Okay, where do we want to create it? Well, in the same directory that we are actually working. So here, GitHub desktop, GitHub project, and here we want to have initiate our GitHub repository. Let's press OK. As soon as we create a Git repository, PyCharm is telling us you are missing the gitignore file. So what is the gitignore file? The gitignore file is a file that we need to add when we have a Git project to tell Git which file we want to keep track of and which file we don't want to keep track of. So let's go here, create gitignore. We're going to use a template. Let's type Python because our is a Python project. So let's click here, generate. This has generated a file for us and is asking, do you want to add the file to Git? Of course we want to add it. So as you can see it's red. Now that we press add, we are keeping track of this file and now it's green. Another thing that we need to add, since we are using PyCharm, is IDEA. Okay, so we want to also ignore this configuration file which is automatically created by PyCharm. Okay, now is keep telling us something, because what would you like to do with an version file? Okay, like this one, main.py. Do we want to keep track of it or not? Well, at the moment we are not, because can you see it's in red. So what do we need to do is right click, git add. Okay, so now that message has disappeared. Main, now we are keep tracking of main. So let's go and do the first commit. VCS commit, or alternatively Ctrl K. I'm going to use Ctrl K. So let's see what we have changed. We have created this gitignore file. Okay, we are happy with it. We just use a template. And now we have added main. Okay, so main, now this is the first commit. So what is exactly a commit? Well, we're going to store in the history that at this stage, at 9:52 of this day, this file looked like this, and it was working. So we were happy with these changes. Okay, so we're going to call it first commit. Okay, you can just type any message that you want, and then Control Enter or clicking here is going to do the commit. Okay, now let's play a bit. Let's go in main and let's add a new line, a print statement. Okay, how are you? And where do you live? Okay, so now we have added a new question. Shift F10, let's test. Yes, it's printing where do you live. Everything is fine. We're happy with the changes. But we can see that the file now is blue. Why is blue? The reason why it's blue, it means that the file was previously tracked using Git, but now we have made a new change. And where is the new change? Here is in green. Can you see? Because it's a new line. We haven't changed the previous line that were already there. We just have added a new line. Let's actually try to change this line instead. How are you doing? Okay, so now this all appears blue and white. I mean, now it all appears blue because it thinks that we have changed both lines. Actually, in fact, it doesn't even recognize that we have added a new line after this. But let's see if yes, here it works. As you can see, we haven't changed this line. So here we have changed from high to a low. So this line was already here, so it's blue. But this line here is completely new. Okay, so it's green. So that's the main difference and the color code. So let's press Ctrl K again, and let's commit the changes. So we say we changed high to low and added a new question. Okay, here we can see all the things that we change. In fact, we say high to low in blue, in green the new question. Okay, commit. How do we keep track of all these committed we have done? Super simple. Here at the bottom there is a Git button. Let's click here. Let's go on log, and here we can see the first commit. In the first commit we added this new file, main and gitignore. In the second commit we only changed main. No, we did not change gitignore. And if we click here, we can see all the changes that we made. Okay. Another thing that I want to show you is that sometimes you don't want to sync with Git all your file. So let's create a file which is called secret. Okay, in this file we are going to add our password. So do you want to add the following file to Git? Cancel. We're going to type password. And let's say that this is the password that we use to connect to our database. Okay. So we don't want this file, not even by mistake or by chance, that is tracked with Git. We just want to have it on our computer because we're going to need this password to access the database, but we don't want to sync it with Git. So how do we do that? We go in the gitignore file here, and we add a new file. We add secret, okay, to file. So now this file will actually turn yellow. Let me see. Or let's do actually Ctrl K. Control K. As you can see, this file now is yellow. Why is yellow? Because we are not keeping track of it. And in fact, as you can see here, when we are doing the commit, we can only see the changes in gitignore. Okay, so we have we are ignoring secret.py. Okay, so as you can see here, the only change that we had to commit was this change here, but not this file here, and that's what we want. Because now, when we go to main here, we can, and this is probably not the best way of naming this file here, but I just wanted to show you how you can do that. Because for instance, here, and of course you don't want to do that, but you can do import secret, okay? And here, for instance, or actually let's say from secret import password, and here we can do print password, shift F10. As you can see, here is my password. Of course, you don't want to do that, but you will have a function here which is going to be connect to a database, for instance, which this function here is going to connect to a database and connect the connector to the database will have some will be a function which you can use. There are connectors to MySQL, all the type of database, which will require a password. So instead of printing the password here, you will pass this variable inside here. Okay. So now we're happy with our file. We have imported our password. We are not sharing our password with anyone. We haven't committed this thing. So let's say importing password. So let's commit that. So that's the only change that we have done. We have also changed the, this is just a space. Okay, commit. Okay, everything is working. Our file is working. We could even send it to our peers or our collaborator to work on. Now, we also want to start working on a new function, but we haven't tested it yet. So what do? What is the best practice? Well, the best practice is not to change the main file as we are being doing here, but to create a new branch. What is a new branch? A new branch is a copy of this repository, but we are going to work on it, so we're not going to affect the master code. So let's say that the master code is the code that is working on your computer, is Windows or Mac software. That is stable and is installed on your machine. But then developers want to test a new feature, so they create a new branch, they create new features. Once they have tested them, then they send them to master, okay? And then you're going to receive a notification, for instance, on your computer, update the app, update the software, and so forth. And this is the same thing that we want to do. Okay, how do we do that? We go here at the bottom, okay, or here VCS git branches, okay. We type new branch, which is the same as going here, new branch, and we call it development. Development, okay, we created this branch here. So now we are not longer in master, but we are in development, okay. So let's do a Control K here, no changes detected, and let's go here, let's type a new function. So my function is going to take two inputs, A and B, and is going to return A plus B. Okay, so this is the new function that we have created, and let's test that it is working. Print my function, and 2, 4, shift F10, should be 6, exactly, is 6, so everything is fine. And let's change, and let's commit the changes, okay? So we have created this new function, my function, and we are testing new function, okay? Control commit, now control enter has committed the changes and everything is fine. The problem is that now we have our working function, but is not in master. And of course, this was super simple to test, but think about if you have created a long function. So we want to, for sure, to test it before. But now we have this function, which is in development. But if you go back to master, and now we go back to master, we can go here at the bottom, master, check out. Well, the function is not here. So how do we copy across? Shall we copy it and paste it manually? No, of course no. We actually use the power of Git. So we go VCS here, Git, merge changes, Git merge. What do we want to merge? We want to merge into master, merge into master. We want to merge development, okay? Because we have our function that is working. So we merge, and this is my function, okay? Now we have all the changes also implemented in master, okay? So now we are fine because we have our changes that before were not synced to master also in master. Now we can go back here, development, and we can delete this branch because we do not longer need it. Okay? So let's go back here in Git. We can see that in master we have also this new, we never did this commit in master, okay, testing new function, but we got it from that branch. Okay? So now we have practically learned everything. So now we know how to use Git, we know how to use version control. And again, if you want to use version control, is super powerful because here you can see all the changes that you have done to the files, and you can also keep track with this menu if you prefer. But now that we have used Git, we can see everything here. We are ready to ship our code and to sync it with GitHub. Okay, so let's open the browser. Here we are. So we go in GitHub repository, new. Okay, so you just have to go in GitHub. We call it my example. So let's call it YouTube PyCharm version control. Is going to be public. Okay, we don't want to add any file at the moment. We just want to keep it clean because we already have the gitignore file created and everything is fine. We just to create a repository. Okay, so now GitHub is going to create a repository for us, and the only things that we need to know is this. Okay, so this is to link our repository here local on computer to GitHub. How do we do that? VCS, okay, Git, remotes, okay, we add one here, and we add name origin, as you can see it's called origin, URL, we just have to copy the URL, okay, it's checking the URL. Of course, you might be asked to put the password. I've already set it up with the password. You might be asked to just log in with your GitHub credential. Of course, you need to do that. And what you need to do is to push the changes. Okay, so here we push our changes. So here it shows us all the local commit, first commit, all the things that we have gone through, and we are going to push. Okay, now let's see, pushing here at the bottom. Once it's done, we can go here, refresh, and we have our file, gitignore and main. And of course, we don't have secret. Okay, now let's assume, last thing that I want to show you, let's assume that our friend has also access to this repository, goes inside main here, and it actually changes our function here, and it changes as our function. So from my function, we discuss with him and we say, yeah, work on it. We didn't want to say a plus b, but we changed to a minus b. Okay, so of course you don't really have to see this part, but I just want to show you that someone else can change the code on GitHub. And how do you keep track of that? So our friend makes the change, commit the message, and the message is changed from plus to minus, commit the changes, okay, and now our file has changed. Okay, so if we go here and we go into our code, okay, sorry, okay, yeah, it wasn't just rendering properly. If we go into main, now we can see that from a plus b now is a minus b, but we don't have this change here reflected on our local machine. So how can we get those changes? Well, using Git. Okay, so first we do git update project. Okay, we update the project. Is asking us merge incoming changes into the current branch. Okay, so we merge it, and now we can see that our function has changed. Okay, so everything is fine if both changes were done. We didn't change anything here on our code. Okay, but let's assume that something happens and we change both. So the two files now are synced. Okay, now we define a variable which we're going to call it x equal to 3. Okay, and we commit our changes, and we commit our changes. Okay, we say define x, we commit our changes, and then we push our changes to GitHub. Okay, so now it's pushing. Let's refresh this file here. X equal to 3. Everything is fine. Everything is in sync. Now our friend, what happened is that our friend goes here and changes this to 30 instead of 3 and commit his changes. At the same time, we change this variable here from 3 to 23. Okay? Now you will see that the two things are not matching any longer. So here there is 30 and here is 23. Okay? So what is going to happen? Let's see what happens. Let's do update project, merge incoming changes into the current branch. Okay? We're getting an error. We're getting an error. Why? Because originally was 3. Okay, from GitHub, they've changed it to 30, but from our local file, okay, is 23. So who is right? Well, we need to decide. We accept right, we accept left, we accept a bit of both, because I mean there could be many things that are conflicting with each other. Okay, in this case, we think our friend is right. So we click here and we accept right. Okay, so now as you can see, our variable has been changed to 30. Okay, I really hope you find this video useful. Please ask any question down in the comment below, and please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel if you found this video useful. And please also write some comments down below if you would like me to create similar videos about PyCharm. Thank you very much for listening.